Okay, I'm joined by Yonela Manase, who is a script supervisor and continuity specialist. She holds a BA in motion picture and majored in producing. She's also a qualified colorist. Hello, Yonela, and welcome
Hi,
to.
thank you for having
All
me. Thank you
right.
for having me.
Thank you so much. It's such a pleasure having you today here.
I'm honored.
Let's get into it. So tell me, Yonela, I understand that continuity is very essential in a production. So
Mhm.
how did you get into this line of work, and what does the job entail?
So after I've studied my BA,
Mhm.
I worked a bit here and there, and I happened to do a directing skills learnership at the media workshop. And after that, I then got an internship based on that learnership that I
Okay.
did at the media workshop. I got an internship on Gqeberha the Empire
Hmm.
to do continuity.
All right. That sounds really, really great. So tell me, how does a day for you look like on set?
Ah, so usually I would get on set with
Mhm.
my notes, pre-prepared notes,
Mhm.
with notes, do checks with wardrobe, all the relevant departments, including wardrobe, art department,
Mm.
makeup, um, and I know this is probably like so unexpected, but camera department as well,
Okay.
because we all have to keep track of
Mm.
card numbers,
Mm.
things like that. Yes.
All right. So I want to know that working in big productions, is the continuity data the same that you collect for each production, or it's different for each?
The basics are the same,
Okay.
um, but it varies from production to production
Mm.
because the workflow isn't the same.
Okay.
It differs in workflow. So the basics are the same, and the basics being keeping track of storyline,
Mm.
keeping track of paperwork,
Okay.
um, keeping track of just data.
Mm. Yeah.
You're basically, as much as you're not the data wrangler, you're
Yeah.
basically also responsible
For
for
yes.
data as well.
Okay.
So the workflow is the same, but the workflows vary, from production to production, because some are like very fast paced,
Mm.
some are very slow paced, but the basics still they
The
stay the
same.
same.
Okay. All right. So how do you handle then complex scenes, such as if there's a lot of characters, a lot of movement, or even props in those scenes?
Sure. So there was a time where we were shooting prison scenes.
Okay.
There was I was shooting some show, and we had a lot of prison scenes, and that was like my very very first big scene,
Okay.
you know. But what I found is that in scenes like that, audience doesn't really focus on what's really happening in the background.
Oh,
So if you
okay.
can just keep track of and pay attention to things like the basic things like eyeline,
Mm.
continuity from like making sure that the continuity matches
Mm.
basically like from shot to shot.
Okay.
Um, yeah, it's pretty, and also it really works and it helps to work with keys and keys. I mean, by keys, I mean wardrobe,
Mm.
art department. Like when you're working with keys that are also very that pay attention to detail
Yeah.
and are very sharp, to sort of put it, for lack of a better word, to work with sharp keys.
All
Yes.
right. So tell me, all right, when there's a continuity error, all right, who do you communicate the error to, and how do you do it? Do you do it in between scenes, after the scenes? How do you do it?
Depending on the nature of the error,
Mm.
for instance, there'll be an error in script you'll have um, where you'll have something written about a character
Mm.
and you know for a fact that this doesn't make sense in the storyline, or maybe that it's something that doesn't speak to that character.
Mm.
So as a continuity, or like as a script supervisor, basically you have that power to change the lines, but you'd obviously have to communicate it with your director. Like your director has to give you the green light to say, okay,
Okay.
yes, we can change this line with the actor. you go inform them.
Okay.
And there'd sometimes be errors in card numbers, right? Where there's miscommunication between camera department or maybe sound department and us. So that we communicate usually or make a note via the DIT, our data wrangler, who communicated with post so that it doesn't cause any confusions. And in the most unfortunate, the most unfortunate error is when there's like a really, really big booger, depending on what it is, and we don't see it on set, maybe, and then that you communicate with office because then that means a reshoot.
Oh,
Yes.
okay. And how does that work? Doesn't that affect the production for a reshoot?
It does because every scene, every scene costs.
Yeah.
Every minute on set costs. So if you have to squeeze in another scene, it's costly. It's costly, no matter what the reason is. It's costly, But in some cases, we can motivate it, and in those cases, when we can, we do. But there are just some boogers that we have to reshoot this.
Okay. So now what does a person who wants to be in continuity, what skills should they have or qualities?
That's that's a tricky one. First of all, people skills. Hey,
Okay.
I think my top one is just having people skills because you're working with actors. You basically, as a script supervisor, you're working with every department. As compared to maybe camera department who just works with you and the director and lighting. So you work with every department. All the departments are linked in a way, right? But as a script supervisor, you have to pay attention to everything, sound, camera shots, eye line with the actors, making sure that there's no mismatches from shot to shot. Yeah, it's
Okay. So you basically must be friends with everyone on set.
yes, technically, but I think another key skill to have is to be diplomatic. Because things get heated on set. It gets heated, pretty heated on set. And everyone's passionate. Everyone's passionate about their job. Everyone's passionate about their work. But it's very important to learn how to communicate things with people in a very diplomatic manner, because we're together for 12, 13 hours of the day.
That's a lot of hours.
Also, just paying attention to things like being efficient with your breakdowns.
Okay.
Because that helps a lot with your day to day. Being efficient with your breakdowns. Yeah.
Okay. All right. So, in your opinion, how has this role evolved in South Africa productions? Yeah.
So I know it's evolved because I know it's evolved in terms of paperwork.
Okay.
Because now we've gone digital. I remember when I did Uqabeha the Empire, that was paperwork. That was real paperwork where I had to go home, read actual scripts, carry this big file with me, and people wouldn't understand on set. They're like, you're always carrying this big bag. What's in this bag? So so now we've gone digital. There are apps such as Scriptation, where you can mark your scripts because after each day you have to basically mark every scene that we've done to help to assist post. So it helps with marking scripts, it helps with breakdowns, it helps with timings, it helps with keeping track of continuity pictures, images as well, because that's also a very, very big aspect of keeping continuity.
Okay.
Yes, as a script supervisor.
All right. Well, thank you so much, Yonela. It's such a pleasure having you here with
Thank
me in studio. It was really,
you.
really great.
Thank you.
All right.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Okay, so that was Yonela Manase, who has worked in big productions such as Gqeberha the Empire and also in Nimba as a continuity and script supervisor.